I thought we'd do some fun tariff math today because people were not getting this chart that I used in a previous video because they didn't believe that tariffs could be costing their families upwards of $2,000 a year, and that the only net beneficiaries of Donald Trump's tax and tariff policies were those in the top 10% of incomes in the United States. First, just look at how much we're pulling in tariffs every single month. It's now topping $31 billion, which the administration continues to celebrate as they apply this regressive tax to American households and families. So I take that $31 billion and multiply it by the pass through rate. The pass through rate is just a percentage of tariff revenue that's coming from consumers versus being absorbed by businesses or exporters. Different economists come up with different numbers for this. Some are lower and 50 to 60%, some are higher, 80, 90%. So I picked a safe one in the mid range, which was 70%. That means $21,700,000,000 are being paid by consumers. I divided that number by the number of US households, which is around 133 million, which means the average household is paying $163 of tariff taxes every single month. You multiply that by 12, and that's how you get to around $2,000 a month being paid by US families in tariffs. But the situation is actually worse than that because tariffs also increase the price of domestic goods and complementary goods, which I'll explain in a second. So you can see that actually prior to Donald Trump's inauguration and tariff policies, US retail prices were actually falling from Jan 2024 price levels. So those are pegged at 1 in this index here. But then after Jan 2025, when Donald Trump took office and applied tariffs, you can see both imported and domestically produced goods were actually going back up in price. Now, why would domestic prices become more expensive too? Well, it's for a few different reasons. One is competition. So if I'm producing a widget and I'm competing against foreign widgets and the price of foreign widgets goes up, I can raise the price of my widgets and not lose market share and actually become more profitable. So, because of competition reasons, you can raise your prices as well if you're a domestic producer. Now, also, obviously, imports are used as inputs in domestically produced goods as well. So, if you're making cars and importing steel, that's also going to hurt your business and you're going to pass that along. And then the last thing, which is the real kicker, is complementary goods. So there was this crazy study about washing machines and dryers back in 2018, where there was a tariff only put on washing machines. But because washing machines and dryers were sold as a set, they couldn't have different prices. So then people actually raised the price of dryers as well by the same amount they raised the price as washers. And the pass through percentage for washers and dryers actually exceeded 100% because there was a spillover effect with complementary goods. Needless to say, tariffs are terrible. They distort markets, they make US firms less competitive, and they are going to widen income inequality in the United States and hurt the poorest Americans. So, just more wonderful news from the Trump administration.